Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you tuning in. I know there's all kinds of stuff out there that you could check out. So, just you taking a few minutes out of your day to watch my video, I really do appreciate. Everyone who's been subscribing, thank you so much. Your support, your encouragement, it really does mean a lot to me. Um, Channel's continuing to grow. I'm seeing more interaction, so I really do appreciate that. That's one of the biggest reasons I do this is for the interaction with the horror community. So thank you all. Today, I'm super excited to have a new guest on. First time that he has been on the channel with me, so I want to thank and welcome Rob from Slasher Radio. Rob, thank you so much, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sean. How are you today?
I'm getting better. I don't know if you've heard the story that I've been going through recently that I've mentioned briefly on my channel, but I have been dealing with kidney stones for the last 3 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, I had initially had 6 of them when they first discovered that's what was going on. I'm down to 4. So
okay. All right.
slowly making progress. But yeah, it's been, I've been telling people that come on, I'm either been in for about 3 weeks now, either serious pain or very medicated.
Okay.
Today is the first day that I'm not in serious pain and haven't had any medication yet. So
No,
I'm hanging
I
in
would
there.
I would go ahead and take the medication just as like a preemptive measure, really, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably will once we get done. I just feel like the last few episodes that I've done, I've had Brendan and Sam from Our Life in Horror on, Isaiah from Bitter Wolf has been on, Robbie and Kaylee from That Horror Couple. But I've been so medicated, I've almost felt high while we're recording. And so I'm like, let me see if I can do this not being high today, and then I'll
Yeah.
take medication after that.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes for you. But yeah, that sounds like
Yeah.
a horror story in of itself. All that going on.
It's
That's too
been
much.
rough, man. I've had kidney stones in the past, but never multiple like this at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't worked for 3 weeks. I've gone to work maybe 4 hours in the last 3 weeks just because of either the pain or the medication. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been craziness, but I'm making it. So, but yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure anybody that watches my channel is familiar with you, Rob, or has at least heard of you. Probably seen you on some of the live stuff, keeping everybody entertained in the chats. But
I try.
tell everybody what you do.
So you can catch my podcast, Slasher Radio, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm one of the hosts of that show, and we also have a YouTube channel. I have very little to do with the YouTube channel. In fact, almost nothing. I think I'm in one video on the YouTube channel that no one watched. That is about it. But you can check us out at Slasher Radio on YouTube also. And then I also co-host the Nick F and Woo Cage Cast, where we are going through all of Nicolas Cage's movies in chronological order. We have made it. We're running out of movies. That show's going to be wrapping up, so I'm not sure what we're going to do when we reach the end. But we're getting real close to the end now. What are we? We're getting ready to do the old way, and I want to say that's like 2021, maybe 2022. So we're running out of room. We've done over 100 movies on that show now.
That is crazy. So that's been going on for quite a while then.
Yeah, yeah, a
Yeah.
couple of
Wow.
years at least. Yeah.
What if you don't mind me asking before we get into what we're going to talk about today, what started that? Like where did the Nicolas Cage podcast come from? Are you just a huge fan or was it somebody else that's,
Um.
came up with the idea?
Yeah, I really like Nicolas Cage, and one of my old co-hosts on Slasher Radio, a girl by the name of Kat, also really liked Nicolas Cage, and so we had kind of kicked around the idea and sort of joked around about doing it for a while, and then one day we were just like, "Hey, let's stop joking around and let's just do it." So we started it. Yeah, I guess it would have been a couple of years ago now.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how it kicked off.
That's pretty cool. Okay then. Yeah, interesting. Um yeah, well, I just recently, I'll be honest, I hadn't really met you, but had seen you on chats and stuff through Brendan and Sam and that kind of thing. And I get the feeling that you kind of like to be the guy that stirs shit up, maybe be the bad guy a little bit.
A little
Uh,
bit. I
yeah,
mean, it's got to be. You got to make things fun, right? Like I'm
yes,
just like, and some people look. I make jokes. I very often in the chat somebody will say something I disagree with, and look, it's not that big a deal. These are just movies.
right,
We're all having fun, but I'll say
yeah,
no, you're wrong. And like sometimes, it's because to me that's funny. It's funny to
right,
like be like that committed to an opinion about a movie.
Yes.
Sometimes people, get a little upset by it or whatever. But to me, it's just, we're just having fun. It's old school pro wrestling stuff. I'm just playing the heel,
Yeah,
trying to stir things
that's
up a
right.
little bit.
Well, you do it pretty good, but it's always cracked me up. And then finally, probably, I don't know, I guess maybe a month ago, month and a half ago, I was like, you know what? I've never actually listened to Rob's podcast. I've like seen him talking on stuff, but I went and followed the podcast and started listening. And I really like you guys' show. I think the first episode I listened to was the interview y'all did with Adam Green,
Yeah.
uh, which I thought was outstanding. So yeah, I've been trying to keep up with it since then. And I've got so much stuff I watch and listen to, and then trying to watch movies and keep up with my own channel. It's hard to get completely cut up, but once in a while, I try to go back and find another episode or something. But yeah, I
Yeah.
like the podcast. I think you guys do a great job. So
It's a lot of fun. One thing that we've talked a little bit about over the past uh, year or so is that maybe we've created a little too many inside jokes and stuff, and there might be a barrier of entry for new people who come along. But I give it a shot. Stick around; you'll catch up eventually. You'll learn the jokes. It's not like they're super highbrow, complicated jokes, so you'll be just fine. But yeah, the Adam Green interview was a lot of fun. He was very generous with his time, and he was really good on the show, and we were grateful to have him. Coming up, we're coming into October. We've got some more interviews lined up. Greg Nicotero is going to be on, and
oh wow,
we got Tyler Main, who's going to be on the show
okay,
also, and some other things that are sort of in the works but not confirmed yet. But
okay,
we try to load October with a lot of guests if we can,
sure.
which turns out great some years, and other years we end up sitting around going, we got zero. We had nobody wanted to do the show this year. So then we try to scramble to come up with some sort of an event or something to do on the show for October. But it looks
Yeah,
like this year we're hoping to be nice and set with guests and stuff throughout the month of October.
okay. Very cool. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have. I kind of mentioned this to you before we started recording. With this being the first time that you've been on my channel, I want to ask you, um, what is it that got you into horror movies? Was it a specific movie you saw when you were younger? Was it someone who influenced you? What got you into horror?
I remember as a kid, I would watch. I stayed at my aunt's house a lot. She would watch me on like the weekends and stuff. My mom was pretty young, and my parents had just divorced. She was out, having a good time at the bars or whatever. And so I would stay at my aunt's place a lot. And my aunt, she rather enjoyed horror movies, so we would sit and watch those together. I did not like them as a kid. Of course, I was terrified, but it was all still that's part of the fun, right? When
Right.
you're a child, especially. And then I don't know. As I got older, I didn't watch a lot of horror until maybe like high school or college. I just it sort of became like a comfort thing. Like it's just a good time.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't any one movie in particular or anything like that. It's just like I said, I had I remember watching them with my aunt as a kid, and that was fun. Like those were good times. And then right around late high school, early college, I started watching them again just because they're fun. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a great story. I wish I had more
No, it's
to tell
I mean,
you.
it's somewhat interesting to me because it's a little bit of similarity for you and I, honestly, because I was the same way. Um, my aunt and my dad both liked horror. They weren't obsessed, but they liked it. And as a kid, everything scared me, so I
Hmm.
didn't really watch stuff either. But I tried. I wanted to watch stuff with them. My aunt was a huge fan of like the Universal monsters. Those
Hmm.
didn't scare me, so I watched Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, a lot of that kind of stuff. But then occasionally, my dad and my aunt would get together. They would watch. One of the early Friday the 13th movies, one of the first
Yeah.
Halloween movies, stuff like that, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And as a kid, I wanted to watch it with them, but I could only do it in, about 10 or 15-minute increments. And then I had the shit scared out of me and didn't want to see anymore,
Right.
so I would go
Right.
away. But I just kept trying because I wanted to be able to be cool and watch that stuff with my dad and my aunt. And, it finally, I did have a specific movie that switched it for me. Was there was one night my dad had been watching My Bloody Valentine on like HBO or something like that, and I only saw a little bit of it, but it intrigued me. And then later that night, I was up by myself. I was in the living room. I turned on HBO, and My Bloody Valentine was coming on again. And I'm like, I'm going to make myself watch this movie. I'm going to. And so I sat down by myself at probably like, I don't know, 10, 11 years old, watched it all the way through. and absolutely loved it, and that kinda
Yeah.
started things for me, and then just over time, it continued to grow, but, yeah, it kinda started with my aunt as well, and things scared me, but just, keep doing it, and now, like you said, it's become such a comfort thing,
Mhm.
to watch stuff like that, especially the slashers. Do you have a favorite subgenre when it comes to horror, or is it just
It's
everything?
slashers, and I think
Yeah,
I find that's true of I think most people. I
I
feel
think
like I
so.
mean, every once in a while you meet somebody who's like, they like paranormal movies, they like possession movies or whatever. But I most of the time I feel like when I ask people that question, they say slasher movies. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's like the slashers were really popular, when we were kids, like you said, because my aunt loved we'd watch the Friday the 13th movies a lot or whatever
Right.
too. They were just so popular that that's sort of what we watched, and that's what we remember. And then also it had sort of a resurgence in the 90s. Slashers kind
Yeah,
of came back. So I think it's one of those things where it's just kind of an age thing, maybe, and just how
probably.
popular slasher movies have been over a couple of cycles now.
Yeah,
um, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's slasher movies. Like I would much rather watch one of those than anything else. They're the most
yeah,
fun too, right?
I
Like they're the
agree.
most ridiculous and most fun.
I completely agree, and that's what I want from my horror is for it to be fun. I do like some of the stuff that occasionally you have to. I'm not a huge fan of slow burns. I get kind of bored with it and want something to happen, but
Um,
sometimes there's some really good ones out there. There are some that I
yeah,
like. I really, but it's just I want to have fun when I watch this stuff, and that's what slashers do. So yeah,
yeah. A well-made slow burn is really good. Like I'm really in on that. The problem is most of them just aren't that well made. Like it's just everything's building up towards that point where it sort of breaks,
right,
right? And everything explodes.
yeah,
And they don't worry about it's it takes a lot of talent to keep
right.
somebody interested to get to that point. And I think a lot of people they either just don't put in the effort or they don't have the talent to do it. So they just don't make an
Yeah,
interesting movie.
no, I agree, and I think also I agree exactly with what you said, but I think also to me, it's a lot of it's the rewatchability.
Hmm.
Um, Once you watch a slow burn and you've gotten through it and you've seen all of this, you may have really enjoyed it, but when you go back and watch it again, it's just not as good to
Yeah.
me, that second or third viewing. Whereas slashers are just fun all the time. I don't care how many times I've seen,
Right.
Friday the 13th too, I'll keep watching it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
but
rewatch
okay.
pretty much every year. I'll sit down and rewatch the entire Halloween franchise. Just,
Yeah,
beginning to end, just over a weekend or something. I'll just watch all of it.
right.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I do the same thing. All right, very good. Well, today Rob and I are going to be talking about one that I don't hear a lot of other people talk about. We're going to be talking about from 1976, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Um,
yes.
I saw this movie as well a long time ago. I've rewatched it a few times throughout the years, and while I don't want to give my full overall opinion on it just yet, I do feel like this movie grows on me a little bit each time I watched it. Do you recall did you see this movie years ago, or is it something you stumbled upon later?
I want to say I saw it maybe in the past, I maybe like 10 or 15 years was the first time I saw it. I don't remember
Okay.
exactly when it was. And I don't remember exactly what brought it to my attention. But I remember I actually I think it was one of those things where I was just bored one night and scrolling through some streaming service or another, and I came across it, and it was a title that I'd heard, and the poster art looks cool.
Right.
And so I was like, I'll check it out. Why not? And I honestly kind of did. I didn't expect to like it. It just,
Yeah.
but actually, I really did.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really interesting film. And so then I've watched it, I don't know, a handful of times since. It's a movie I really do like, and yeah, like you said, it's not one you hear a lot of people talk about. Like it doesn't come up all
Right.
that often.
No. I'll be honest, the first time I saw it, what caught my attention is it was just on. I was probably scrolling through some channels and saw it, and initially because at that point, I think I had only seen, maybe the first and second Friday the 13th movies, and
Hmm.
so I saw, the Phantom, and I thought it was Jason. That's why I
Right.
stopped to watch the movie because of the mask. So I
Yeah.
stopped to watch the movie, and then I realized this isn't Jason, but I still kept watching. So, yeah, that's what got my attention. Um, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit as we go as well. But real quick here, we'll kind of get into some behind the scenes stuff a little bit, go through some things. Quickly, a tagline for the film. In 1946, this man killed 5 people. Today, he still lurks the streets of Texarkana, Arkansas. Quick overview. When two young lovers are savagely beaten and tortured on a backcountry road in Texarkana, local police are baffled and must find the phantom killer before he can kill again. The film was released December 24th of 1976, directed by Charles B. Pierce, written by Earl Smith, produced by Charles Pierce and Samuel Arkoff, cinematography by Jim Robertson, edited by Tim Boutros, music by Jamie Mendoza, distributed by American International Pictures, has a runtime of 90 minutes, $400,000 budget, $5 million at the box office. We get some narration from a gentleman named Vern Stearman. Cast, I'm only going to name a few names. Ben Johnson, Andrew Prine, Don Wells, which I knew from Gilligan's Island. Rob, as far as cast, characters, that kind of thing, what were your thoughts, feelings on the cast and the characters in this movie?
I like the cast. I don't think anybody gives a standout performance. Like there's nobody that's like wows you when you're watching this movie, but it's a cheap B movie from the 70s, you know.
Right.
But I do think like Ben Johnson is good as what's his Morales, was that his character's name?
Yeah.
Captain Morales.
Yeah.
And
Texas Ranger. Yeah.
yeah, Texas Ranger. And then I really liked the other, like the sheriff's deputy. The character's name's Ramsey. I don't know who played him.
I believe that's Andrew Prine. Andrew Prine,
Okay.
I think, is his name. Yeah.
Yeah, he was very good. I liked those two characters a lot, and I thought those two performances were good. Everything else was sort of like okay to subpar, maybe. Like it's
Yeah.
not. This is not great acting on
Right.
display here. You know, but for the most part, I liked all the characters and everything. That the one comic relief character that they call Sparkplug is a
Yeah.
little annoying. He's a lot less funny than he is annoying. To be honest with you, throughout the movie, but you know,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's just the humor doesn't work, you know, and I think maybe in the 70s that humor worked, but now it's just like it's not funny. It's just awkward. Like I don't like it, but I think it's just the movie, that part of the movie hasn't aged well.
Yeah. No, that's funny you bring that up because I was going to mention that a little bit later, but we're going to go ahead and get into that now because that's a big deal to me about this film. I agree with you. Um, everybody does a well. I say everybody for the most part. The acting's pretty good. I do like Ben Johnson's performance.
Mhm.
Um, I agree. Andrew Prine does a great job. Um, everybody else is fine. Nothing just huge. Some performances not great. I like Dawn Wells. She's the final girl there in the film that he goes after. That
Mhm.
gets shot in the face but lives. But even her acting in this at times is not great, and she's not on the screen for a long period of time. But it
Yeah.
seems like she does fine. And then there's a scene where she's actually getting shot, and she kind of sits back and rolls her eyes for a minute, and it just looks so bad. I don't know if you know exactly what I'm talking about or not, but it looks so bad. But I mean, the performances are okay. But yeah, you mentioned the spark plug character and the comic relief, and like I said, I was gonna come to that a little later, but let's because of what you said, I agree with you 100%. That's the only part about this movie I don't like. I'm the same way with you. I don't feel like it's funny. And
Mhm.
maybe you're right. Maybe in the 70s it was funny. Um, but to me, it's just not, and it's annoying. I
Yeah.
feel like it. I like this movie anyway. I feel like the movie would be so much better without it because I know it's supposed to be in there for comic relief. I don't think it needs it. I don't mind when a lot of horror movies, especially slashers, like we were talking, they typically have some character that's dropping one liners and supposed to be funny and supposed to be the comic relief. That's fine. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. But I almost feel like this one hurts the flow of this movie a little bit because I feel like every time you really start to get into it and things are happening, then we come back to some dumb shit with the spark plug guy, and it kind of takes you back out of the movie for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Luckily, you're able to get back in, so I don't want to say it ruins it, but I do definitely think it hurts it. Does it interrupt the flow as far as you're concerned?
I think so, and I also don't. This isn't the kind of movie that needs a lot of comic relief. You know, you throw comic relief in to break up the tension, but this isn't
Right,
exactly a tense film for us now watching it in 2025.
right,
I can't speak to what the audience in 1976 thought of this movie, but
sure,
I feel like, you know, watching it now, it's like this isn't there's not like there's a ton of tension. I'm on the edge of my seat in this movie. There's a couple of spots that are still like kind of creepy, and there are,
Yeah, sure.
a little bit, but it's not enough to need, this many dumb jokes to try and break up the tension of the movie. And they really lean into it too, because there's a lot of these weird, like whimsical music cues throughout the movie.
Yeah,
Some of them are placed in weird spots too. Like there's a kill
I agree.
happening, and there's like this weird whimsical kind of music playing. I'm like, what is going on? Was
Yeah,
well, who put this music together?
yeah,
There are a couple of spots where the music's really good and it fits what's happening, but then there are just as many where you're just like, why this music doesn't match what I'm watching at all. And I
no, I
don't.
agree.
So I don't know. Yeah, it feels like they leaned really into at points the comedy of this movie, and I don't think you needed to. Like, this is it just, yeah, it detracts from the story, and it almost feels like Sparkplug is in a different movie, and somehow the
Yeah,
two got edited together in a weird way. It doesn't work.
no, I agree. And I just, I have a friend who is not a huge horror fan. They like some stuff. I tried to get them to watch this at one point, and they couldn't, just because a lot of the music and the sound, they just thought it was the
Yeah,
dumbest thing ever, and
yeah.
they quit watching it. Didn't even make it halfway through. They were just like, "This is stupid," and I was
And
like,
I
"Ah,
could see
okay."
that. I
But
could see
I
how it
do
could
understand
really.
other people feeling that way. So yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think that. I mean, I don't like that, but I still enjoy the film. But I can see other people
yeah,
not being a fan. And like you said, maybe it was different in 1976, but
yeah,
I agree with you 100%. There's just not a lot of moments in this where you need comic relief. So I
yeah,
don't understand it. But I think the one thing that we were talking about Ben Johnson, I think the one thing that does help a little bit is even when Sparkplug is being an idiot and you get some of his dumb scenes, because I just can't think of another word to use. I do think Ben Johnson's performance, how irritated he gets with Sparkplug, is almost how we as the audience are
yeah, a
feeling the
little
same
bit.
way. We're so irritated with this guy as well that it kind of helps a little bit, because I'm like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like this guy's driving me insane. So
Yeah.
I think that helps keep your interest a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It does help keep the film itself a little more grounded. I think,
Right.
because Ben Johnson comes in and he's playing his role like he's in a western,
Right.
which is fine. It works. He's a Texas Ranger. Those guys are, I mean, I've never met a Texas Ranger. I don't know. I just assume they're all like cowboy, movie cowboys or whatever. I have no idea, but. And that's the way he's playing it, and it works for the movie and for the role. But yeah, I don't. It is, I think, a little bit of product of the time, especially like the whimsical music cues, because that's one of the things that drives me nuts about Wes Craven's Last House on the Left. The music doesn't match the movie at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
So it seemed to be, I guess, just like cheap drive-in 70s movies. Like they're just using whatever music's laying around or whatever. I
Whatever's
don't know
cheap.
what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, probably budgetary reasons factoring into that, but I agree. And I've never met a Texas Ranger either, but one thing I will say that I think, and I noticed it even more the last time I watched this. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, but I watched it again a few days ago to get ready for you and I to talk about it today. Um, and My father was a police officer for, gosh, a long time,
Mhm.
in Duncan, Oklahoma, and I grew up in, I was born in '72, so I grew up late '70s, early '80s, that kind of thing. And one thing I will say is I really noticed, a lot of the police officers in this film, minus Sparkplug, I almost seem to see characteristics in them that I remember seeing in my dad and some of his friends that were on the force.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things, and we'll probably get into that a little bit more as well when we start going through the plot. But one of the things I like about this movie is not to the level of a Black Christmas or a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I love those films because they seem so real. This
Hmm.
movie has that feeling a little bit,
Yeah.
probably somewhat from the way it's shot and the way it's done. But I just think you and I talked about it briefly before we started recording today. These older movies, I just think they look. Uh, I know graphics are better nowadays. We have all this different kind of money, cameras are better, equipment's better, all of that kind of stuff. But I just love the look of these older films. I just think
Yeah.
they look so much more real, and sometimes even the characters seem more real. And that's one of the things that I really like about this movie, and really have developed an appreciation for the more times I see it. And it's almost like a nostalgia thing for me when I'm watching these officers interact and talk. I'm like, I remember my dad and his friends, they sounded like that. They acted
Yeah.
like that a little bit. So that's one of the things I appreciated. Minus spark plug. I never knew a real police officer that acted like that.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of my family members had interactions with police officers, and it seemed authentic to me too. But there were no cops in my family. Uh, no, I think one of the things that I do like about this movie so much, and it goes back to that realism feel, is the narration and stuff, and the way it's shot. It almost looks like a documentary at times, not the
It
entire
does.
way through, but at times that it has a very documentary feel to it. And I think that's one of the reasons. Like I'm always giving people a hard time. Like I don't like 2000s horror. Like I just don't think it's very good. And one of the things I hate the most about it, and I always say this, it looks shiny to me. Like it's just everything's too shiny and too clean and too
Yeah.
perfect, and
Right.
I can't stand that. I much prefer these kind of movies that they don't every people. A lot of the cast, like especially like the secondary and background actors, they look like real people. They're not
Right.
all. They don't all look like models who walked off of the a magazine cover or whatever. They just look like normal people, and there's something about the film and the way the film stock looks that just all of it looks so much more realistic and so in a lot of ways just better to me
Yeah.
than that glossy get an entire cast from a CW teen soap and put them in a slasher movie stuff that we got in the
Yeah.
2000s.
No, I agree with you, and it's funny you say that because recently Isaiah from the Bitter Wolf, he and I did a episode on Black Christmas from '74, and we
Mhm.
talked a lot about that because I don't dislike 2000s horror as much as you do, but my
Mhm.
opinion has definitely changed on it over the years because um, when the 2006 Black Christmas remake came out, I thought it was fun. I thought it was so
Oh,
much fun, and I had never seen the original, so I was like, "Yeah, I like this. It's fun. It's not, an Oscar-winning movie, but this is a fun movie. I like
right.
this." And then I saw the original, and it was so dark. I was like, "No, I think I like that remake better." And then I came to my senses after watching them a few times, and I'm like, "Oh, no, that original is such a classic.
Yeah.
That movie is so good." And the 2006 one, I don't hate it. I still like to watch it. I still enjoy it actually, but it just doesn't even compare. And what Isaiah and I were talking about is how um, the movies that we get in the 2000s and even somewhat today, not all of them, but a lot of them, it's like you said, it's like this painted, beautiful, everybody's rich, everything looks
Yeah.
fantastic, all the homes are super nice, everything is just so, I don't know, upper class, beautiful, great imagery. But these older movies look real. This looks like what I see when I walk outside. I
Yeah.
mean, it's more that kind of thing.
And the funny thing about newer movies too is they'll put like a quote unquote poor guy character in there. And
Yeah,
he still like has nicer clothes than I do.
right.
He's driving a nicer car than I've got. Like, wow, that's the poor guy. All right. But
Yeah.
I can't that's one of the things, yeah, it drives me kind of crazy. Like I know everyone loves the Jessica Biel Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, the remake. I know
Yeah, I like
everyone
it.
loves it. Everyone is
Yeah.
wrong. It's not very good. And one of the reasons it's not good is because of that. It's not everybody says, "Oh, it's so gritty and grimy," but it's not really. It's very fake gritty and grimy. Well, it's like
Sure.
it's everything's real pretty and polished, and then they try to make it look grimy.
Yeah.
When you watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can smell that house. You can smell those people. Like
Right.
it's not the same thing.
No,
It's just not.
that's why I wanted to have you on. That's so funny. Um, I do like that remake as well, but I agree. It doesn't have the same feeling. It's not gritty and grimy, especially like
No.
that original.
Yeah.
It's just, entertaining for me, I guess, but it's not the original. So I completely agree with what you were saying. Um, I want to mention a few. I've only got a couple of notes here as far as production notes, that kind of thing, but a few things I wanted to mention. Feel free, Rob, if you have any questions or comments you want to make to chime in. The film is loosely based on the 1946 Texarkana Moonlight Murders, crimes that were attributed to an unidentified serial killer known as the Phantom Killer. The real killer attacked 8 people in or near Texarkana, Texas, and most of the murders actually took place in rural areas just outside of Texarkana. It's filmed in 1976 in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Dawn Wells, who we were talking about briefly, she was almost attacked by a bulldog in the cornfield scene, but the crew shot at the dog and scared it away. Um, that blows my mind that I guess the
But
crew just walked around with guns back then. But
apparently, I
yeah,
guess so. It sounds like they might have been trespassing.
yeah, it could be. Actor Andrew Prine, who played Ramsey, um, he wrote the last fifth of the film because it had no ending. Uh, so he had to come up with the ending of the film and put that all together. He and actor Ben Johnson were hungover while filming the train scene after being out partying all night the night before. And one other thing, Texarkana city officials threatened to sue over the phrase, "Today he still lurks the streets of Texarkana," that was on the movie poster because it caused an uproar in their community.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just a few things there that I thought were kind of interesting. Anything you know as far as behind the scenes stuff, notes, anything like that that you wanted to mention?
No, not really. I didn't look too much into the behind the scenes stuff. I saw the thing about the lawsuit over the tagline. I mean,
Mhm.
they should be sued over that tagline because it's one of the worst taglines I've ever heard. Um, it's not very good. As far as writing the ending of the movie, trying to come up with the ending for the movie. I mean, they're kind of this is a tough one. How do you end this movie? They never caught the
Right,
guy.
right.
And everything. I can understand why they would be struggle to come up with something. I mean,
Yeah,
one of my favorite movies is Zodiac, the David Fincher movie.
yeah,
And I was interested the first time I saw that in theaters, like, how are they going to end this? They never really caught the guy, but
right.
they went with Graysmith's theory, and so they were like, hey,
Yeah,
this is the guy.
right,
We can't
right.
prove it, but this is the guy.
Yeah,
This one kind of just throws its hands up in the air and goes, we don't know what happened really.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. And, I think speaking back to the realism thing as well, there's a conversation in the car there towards the end of the movie between Officer Ramsey and Captain Morales, where Ramsey's given some theories on what might have happened. And Morales says, there's one other thing. He could have been arrested for some other crime.
Hmm.
He might be in jail. And I think I like that again because of the realism part, because I can't tell you how many times, again, with my dad was a police officer for probably 10 to 12 years, and he was a detective for a few years after. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of that kind of thing really happening. They're looking
Sure.
for somebody trying to figure out who did this, and then they find out that, several counties or even states away, that's their person. He just got
Right.
arrested for jaywalking or some stupid shit. They
Right.
find out that
Yeah.
he's tied back into this other stuff. So that was just something else that I appreciated that they added in there. All right, we're going to walk through the plot a little bit here. I'm just going to mention a few things here and there to kind of get your take. Starting, of course, that you were talking about what Texarkana was like after World War II, and then we get the opening scene of the couple that's parked on Lovers Lane. Hood flies open and then it comes back down. We get the masked figure there, and then he attacks them, pulls the guy out of the car, gets in the car with the girl. Your thoughts on the opening scene?
I like it. I like the whole opening. I like the whole sort of setting it up like a documentary kind of thing. And yeah, we're seeing like sort of, I don't know if it's stock footage or just some B-roll, whatever it is, of
Right.
just things happening around the town. And I like that. And the narration I think is really good. And everything. But I like the first the kill scene because movies like this I feel like struggle because they didn't have a lot of budget. This
Right.
is not Terrifier. They're not going for gore or anything
Right.
really, right? You don't see most of what happens. You see a lot of aftermath.
Sure.
Um, but I like the introduction of the Phantom with the whole opening. He opens up the car hood, and then he's there.
Yeah.
It's a sort of over the top dramatic introduction of this character, and I think it's really good. It's watching him struggle with the people, like you're introduced to the character in sort of a dramatic way. We see things like, okay, this is just a guy, right? It's not
Right.
like some supernatural being, because we see him struggle with trying to get into the car and everything else.
Sure.
So I think it's a solid introduction and a great way to set up the killer.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I like what you said about the narration because sometimes I think movies, I don't know, sometimes I don't like the narration. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't it kind of messes things up a little bit. But I think this does pretty good.
Hmm.
I like the way it sets things up and kind of gives you the. Uh, it starts off with that real feeling, like we've talked about, and so I
Yeah.
like this as well. I like this opening attack scene and the introduction to the Phantom. Um, kind of made the same note that you can tell it's a real guy. I mean, this is a person. We're not dealing with some supernatural being that can't be killed. This is not Jason. This is not
Right.
Michael. This is not. This is just a normal guy that's out there attacking people. So I enjoy it as well. Um, from there, we move along, and the next scene, well, the woman gets found on the side of the road. We find out that both her and the guy end up surviving, actually, but they were just severely bitten. The woman had bite marks on her. We get our introduction to Deputy Ramsey, to Sheriff Baker, to Chief Sullivan. Um, not much for me really here as far as to say. I mean, we just kind of get introduced to this police
Hmm.
force, but again, I think I like it because of the realism, because it reminded me of my dad and his friends as being police officers. Just the interaction, the way they talk
Yeah.
with that kind of thing. So, um, in anything as far as the introduction to some of these people that stood out to you that we haven't talked about?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, it's sort of pretty standard. Sort of. All right,
Yeah,
we've seen the first like the cold open to a movie, and
right.
now we're gonna sort of meet the other cast of characters, and so we sort of get introduced to all of them. We get a little bit about each of them, but not a whole lot.
Yeah,
Ramsey we get the most about. We see Sparkplug being an idiot, and that's and those are the two of this group, the two that we're going to spend the most time with. So
right.
everybody else is sort of there, and yeah, they seem like competent police officers, I guess, but
Right.
we don't really
Yeah,
get to know them that well.
yeah, I agree. Um, we next move into the next couple that gets attacked, and Ramsey is patrolling Lover's Lane. He ends up hearing gunshots. He finds the man dead in the ditch and the woman tied to a tree, and almost has a chance there to catch the Phantom then, but he is able to get away. And then we start hearing more of this narration about the town going into this panic, that guns are selling out, safety equipment is selling out, and they decide to call in the Texas Ranger, Captain J.D. Morales, who is this big time. Um, Police officer, and they bring him in. So we get introduced to his character, the next main one that we're going to be spending time with. I believe he's actually the narrator mentions the Phantom, but I believe it's Captain Morales that actually gives him that name
Yeah,
when they bring him on and start talking to him. And we've already talked about Sparkplug and the stuff that's going on here. Um, again, I like the narration that we're getting and talking about the way the town's going into a panic and everything that's happening there. I think it's I don't know exactly what happened in the real sense, but I can see this kind of thing happening. I can see, in the early 70s, these, attacks are happening and suddenly guns are selling out and that kind of thing, because we still see that kind of stuff now.
yeah, absolutely.
Completely different situations. But when COVID hit, grocery stores started selling out of toilet paper because people
Hmm.
panic. I mean,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
thing. So again, there's a realism feel here that I really like, and I like the introduction to. Um, Captain Morales. I like Ben Johnson's performance. I really like this character. Again, he different traits remind me of different police officers that I knew here and there. So, um, yeah, I think this we've gotten, like you said, the cold opening. We're starting to get introduced to people, and I think with this next kill and Ramsey almost catching him, and then they bring in Morales. I just think it's pulling you in. It's pulling you
yeah,
into the story. Like I'm really enjoying so far. Your
yeah.
thoughts?
I agree. Is this the kill where it's this stood out as weird to me? The narration's like he's a 29-year-old man, and for 6 weeks he's been dating this 17-year-old girl, and I'm like, what the hell
Yeah,
happened in 1946? Imagine
that
if you
is
had a
it.
17-year-old daughter and she brought a 29-year-old dude home. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Like,
that is this one. Yeah, because I
yeah,
don't think we really see. Well, I'll take that back. I think we do see it now too. We just get Ramsey looking for it, but yeah, the narration is funny there, but at the same time, I'm like,
yeah.
it's not that the narrating is bad. It's just the story part
Yeah, I
is
guess that
awkward.
was the times. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, but um, I believe it was her family. I think her brother, the brother of the real life girl
Right.
that character is based on, tried to sue the filmmakers for making his sister look bad.
Okay.
He lost the lawsuit and everything, but he I believe
Okay.
tried 2 or 3 times unsuccessfully to sue them, for, I don't know, painting her in a less than moral light or something.
Okay.
I don't know what it was.
Interesting.
Yeah. Um,
Okay.
the other funny thing about this section of the movie is we get the introduction to Morales, but before we meet Morales, we get one of these. This is an old movie thing that you don't really see that much anymore, where Ramsey's told that they're bringing in Morales, and then he seemingly to no one just kind of looks back and he goes, "Oh, JD Morales, the best of the Texas." It's like, who the hell are you talking to? I mean, clearly you're talking to the audience. You're filling me in that this is some legendary Texas Ranger. But in the
Right.
context of the film, it makes absolutely no sense. And if you saw him, if somebody did that in a movie today, we would throw eggs at the screen. It looks so bad. But for some reason, in these older movies, it doesn't bother me. I just let it
Yeah, it
go. It's
works.
like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
That's funny, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I did see the note where someone, from the real families had tried to sue,
Yeah.
um, because of
I'm,
that, but
I'm
I wasn't sure which one it was. I didn't read enough on it to figure out who it was, so that would make sense that it's that
I'm
one, but,
pretty sure it was her brother because in the narration there they talk about her being like a 17-year-old high school dropout who's,
right.
running around with this 29-year-old man or whatever. And in reality, I guess she wasn't a dropout. She had graduated high school at 16. Like
Okay.
she was just smart.
Yeah. Okay.
And so she had completed, and had gotten a job and everything. She wasn't just some layabout loser that
Yeah.
is, in a way, the narration kind of depicts her as that. But they did change her name and everything for the film. And so I think the courts were like, you know.
Got it. But I can see with, because I didn't know that part, so yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that, but I can see, I guess, the family being a little bit upset of the way she was portrayed, but, yeah, you're
We'll
not gonna
talk a
get
little bit more about this coming up. I feel like
it.
there's a lot that families could be upset about in this
Yeah.
movie. There
Yeah.
are some.
Probably
I really like this movie, but I do have kind of some almost fundamentally moral problems with some of the things that happen a little later in
okay.
this movie.
Okay. Well, from there we move into, the next section, the next couple that gets attacked. Um, First, we have the decoys set up, which, again, I'm assuming, they probably really did that, but it's in the movie we get the, Sparkplug dressed up and his partner messing around with him while he's dressed up in this woman's
I
clothes. Yeah.
This is the one scene of comic relief that kind of works for me, and it's not Sparkplug, it's the other guy.
Yeah.
It's the other guy sort of like breaking Sparkplug's balls about having to be dressed
Right.
up like a woman. That to me is funny.
Yeah, that's
And
funny because that seems real.
yeah,
That's how
yeah.
somebody would react. So I
And
can see that.
they apparently did actually use decoys, but it wasn't this early in the investigation. It happened
Okay.
later. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But from there we do get, probably the kill. Excuse me. Yeah, the kill that's most talked about from the few people that I have heard talk about this movie. The next couple that gets attacked, they go to more of a park like they're in the city. And then as they're pulling out, which I really like the way this scene looks, as they're leaving, you see the Phantom kind of behind the car, like
Yeah.
trying to decide how to get to them. And they're backing up. So he's trying to get out of the way, but then getting ready to jump up on it. I just like the way that scene is shot. I like the way it looks. He does then attack, pulls the man out of the car and beats him. The woman's trying to run away, catches her, ties her to the tree. Guy's still stirring around, so he ends up getting shot, and we get the trombone kill.
Hmm.
Which the first time I saw this movie, I thought was the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen in my life. I'll be completely honest. I just thought
Sure.
that was silly. But going back and watching it now, I don't know. There's something. I like this scene. I think this scene looks pretty good, and I like the sound because I
Hmm.
feel like you hear as he's using this trombone, you're hearing this knife penetrate the skin.
Yeah.
I think, especially for the early '70s, I thought the sound design was really good here, and I just like the way this scene was shot. Uh, your thoughts on this one?
So this is the scene that clearly the most memorable scene from the movie. Like,
Sure.
if you talk to somebody who has seen this movie once and it was 20 years ago, and you say The Town That Dreaded Sundown, they're going to go, "Oh, the trombone!" Like,
Yeah.
they're going to remember that. This is the most memorable thing. It's also the one that I think might bother me the most.
Okay.
For this is the moral. I'm going to stand my moral high ground here for a minute.
Okay.
Um, this is more or less a slasher movie.
Sure.
Sort of. And
Right.
I get that slasher movies are known for sort of their outlandish kills and sort of everything being kind of over the top, but it's also a movie based on a true story. And while I know that when people make movies based on true stories, they take creative license, they change events around, they change characters' names. Sometimes they combine characters.
Right.
They play with things new in numerous ways. But this is just ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? Like in a way, it's like these people, these kids really died in this
Right.
park. And so to take the death of an actual human being and just make it kind of ridiculous is, I don't know. It doesn't quite sit right with me.
Okay.
For some reason. As if I didn't know this was a true story and that they completely, I mean, clearly this did not happen.
Right.
The girl, she was a musician. She played the saxophone, and apparently her saxophone went missing after they couldn't find it. But
Okay.
um, but she was shot.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think they changed the boyfriend's death at all. Like he was shot in real life, I believe, pretty
I
much
believe that's right.
accurate
Yeah.
accurate to the way that it happened in the film. And again, I'm not saying they have to be 100% accurate, but to take someone's actual death and just make it this sort of goofy trombone murder, it's like
Right.
I'm kind of uncomfortable with it.
Okay. No, that's a fair point. I agree. I guess I haven't thought of it that way. Again, knowing that this is not the way it really happened, um, I don't know why go this route with it. I'm not sure because, like you said, it's for the most part a slasher film. Having come out a couple of years after Black Christmas and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't know if they were trying to. I don't want to say they were trying to rival that, but perhaps drawing some kind of inspiration there to just this is a slasher movie. We need some kind of outlandish,
Yeah.
crazy kill, and that's why. But I do see your point. Morally, to take someone who died in real life and make almost a mockery of it is not cool.
Right.
From the movie aspect, I like the kill. It's silly, but I
Mm-hmm.
just like the way it's shot and the way it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, from the moral aspect, I 100%
Yeah.
see what you're saying,
Right.
and
But
I
but
honestly hadn't thought about it.
also, that's where I'm a hypocrite because I really like it too. Like it's a great scene, and
Yeah,
it's done really well. It's just
right.
there's something about it doesn't quite sit right with me. And I think the reason they did it is because they needed something. They needed
Yeah,
something that everybody's going to talk about. I mean, the
sure.
movie did, like you said, a what $400,000 budget, and they made like 5 million at the box office. It
Right.
did very well.
Very well.
This scene is in, I would guess, I wasn't there, but I would guess this scene drove a lot of that box office. This
I'm
was
sure.
what people were talking about. From a filmmaking standpoint, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just I'm a little uncomfortable with it.
I completely understand, but you know what? Yeah, I don't know if I should say that or not. Sometimes that's what I'm okay with movies making you uncomfortable. That's fine. It is
Yeah.
just a little rough to do it based on a real event.
That's
That's
the whole
that's
thing.
what
Yeah,
yeah, that's
and
what
that's
makes
the
it
whole
yeah,
thing. Yeah, if they had
yeah,
just made up all of this and this was a made up killer and they did this, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, "Oh, that's
yeah,
great." But because it's the actual someone's actually dead,
right.
and maybe it's easier to look at this because it was 30 years after that this movie was made. So it's like somebody died 30 years ago and they're not going to,
Yeah,
and now it's, however many years after that.
right.
So I don't know, but it is just something about it doesn't quite sit right with me, but I still enjoy it. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't ruin the movie for me or anything, but it is kind of like this is a little gross.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can definitely see family being upset with that one. Um, from there, we start to get a little closer to, we're a little past halfway through the film. Captain Morales and Deputy Ramsey meet with a psychiatrist. He kind of expresses his doubts that they'll ever catch this phantom. He mentions the phantom being incredibly intelligent. There was one thing here that I, I wanted to ask you about because this happens a few times throughout the film. Um, they like to show the phantom shoes
Yeah.
in different parts of the movie, and they do it
Yeah.
here too. So apparently, this killer was in this restaurant where they're eating and listening to this conversation, and then we just see the shoes as he's walking away. I mean, I guess that's okay. To me, that seems kind of silly because we get that
It,
a little bit later on as well. What's your thought?
It is a little bit, but I kind of like it. Like it sets the idea that it's just presenting the idea that this is just someone in the town, and
Yeah,
they're around, and it could be anybody, right? Like
right,
we don't actually ever see the killer. I think we see the shoes. At one point we see him getting in a car that looks like
right.
every other car in the movie.
Yeah, yeah,
By the way, these apparently cars in the 1940s couldn't drive straight. Do you notice that every scene the cars are just going all over,
yeah,
it's
all
going
over
like
the
this
place.
all over the place? Like apparently that was a thing. I didn't know. But
That's
yeah,
so
but I don't mind it. Like it's a little heavy-handed maybe or a little silly,
yeah.
but at the same time, I see why they did it, and it doesn't really bother me too much.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking because I feel like that. I mean, I like the fact. I feel like the narration in the film does a good job of letting us know that this killer is just someone, maybe somebody you work with, somebody you go to
Right,
church with, somebody you see every day, and that's part of what makes it terrifying, right? Is that this is somebody right here with us.
right.
Um, I feel like the narration itself does a good enough job of setting that up that we don't need the shots of the shoes, and I think that's why, like you said, it was a little heavy-handed to me and kind of silly, but it's not. It's just a nitpick. It's not
Yeah.
something that takes me out of the film or makes me not enjoy it. It's just kind of a silly little thing that I'm like, really, we're gonna keep showing these shoes, but
Yeah.
yeah, and
We
they
see
don't
them a
look like
lot.
they're in very good shape, but that's okay. Um, yeah, so they didn't have a scene, and I didn't get to do much research. I know whenever there's we've heard all the time of false reports of somebody claiming to be, in real life, a killer
Mhm.
that they're not. That
Sure.
happens every time there's a big scene,
Mhm.
and so I'm sure that did happen. Your thoughts on the scene here we get of where they get this lead about a guy that's robbed this store. They start chasing him. They end up catching him. We get another stupid spark plug scene where he crashes into the water. But
That's the
uh,
worst spark plug scene.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
absolutely horrible.
you're in the middle of this chase. They're getting the guy like you're kind of in the movie, and then all of a sudden they got this weird like Three Stooges, Keystone Cops kind of gag going on. Like, what is happening?
It reminded me, honestly, what this reminded me of was some episode of like Dukes of Hazzard or something where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see
yeah,
Roscoe
yeah,
or somebody go flying into
yeah,
the water
yeah.
in
You
their
would
car.
see, yeah, Roscoe
Yeah,
would,
it
yeah,
just
do that, yeah.
it was
Yeah,
just
the
so
Duke boys would jump the thing and come out the
yeah,
other side just fine, and then Roscoe would end up in the swamp or whatever. Yeah, it's real dumb.
yeah, it really was. I This part was stupid as well. But yeah, but then they start talking to this guy and he initially is denying everything. They've got this eyewitness there. Um and then finally he decides, yeah, this guy says he is the Phantom, but Morales doesn't believe him.
Right.
Um I think this movie doesn't have a long runtime, so I guess the scene is fine. Between the comedy and this scene just doesn't do anything for me. I know this kind of thing happens, but this scene just doesn't do anything for me. I feel like this scene could have been left out altogether because it's the stupidest part as far as the comedy. And then I just don't think this guy saying he's the Phantom when he's not, Morales not believing him. I just don't think this adds anything to it. But
Yeah, it doesn't really add much to the story, because yeah, he claims that he's the Phantom, and then Morales, I mean, immediately he's just like, "Yeah,
yeah,
that's not the guy." Yeah.
right,
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it does add the element of, like you said, we see people give false confessions all the time. And the guy does say when he confesses, "Bring on the newspaper reporters." Like he's clearly looking for the
right.
limelight. And we see people who do that kind of thing. So I mean, I
Sure.
guess it kind of adds that, but it's maybe not enough to stop the movie in its tracks the way that it does.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, and we had seen a little bit of that back in the station. There were some phone calls coming in where people were
Right.
saying they were the killer, that kind of thing. That I don't know, but if they cut this out, I mean, then the movie's going to be because this is probably what a 5-10 minute scene that all of
Yeah.
this goes on. So the movie's going to cut down even shorter. But
Yeah. You got to keep
again,
that runtime up.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
another nitpick for me. Um, from there, we're going to get into the film, the next part of the film that I actually feel like we were talking about. There's not a lot of tension in this movie. This is the first time I feel like we finally get some of that. This next set of scenes that we're going to talk about here, and oddly, they keep throwing this comic relief in to break tension that's not there. And then when we finally get some tension, there is no comic relief. But it's fine because it's not so bad that it really makes you uncomfortable. I just think this is the first time this film brings it in, and that's with Don Wells' character.
Yes.
Uh, the Phantom's watching her. She sees him, as you said, and then she goes home. Um, she hears something outside, mentions it to her husband, and then we see him get shot through a window.
Yeah.
And then, she steps out. The Phantom comes in the back door. She gets shot twice. When she's escaping or trying to escape, and she's kind of crawling through this cornfield, and he's looking around looking for her. That's the only scene that this movie is probably, what, 60 years old, something like that. This is the only time that I feel like there is some tension in this movie.
Hmm.
Even now, when I watched it a few days ago, I mean, I know what's going to happen. I'm not saying I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat, but even now, I'm like, this is really the first time in this movie that you feel something, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Um,
You agree?
yeah, and it's really well done.
I agree.
And it does kind of make you wish they would have maybe put this level of or tried to ratchet up the tension at other points of the film.
Sure.
Some of the other kill scenes or whatever. But this one's I think is really well done, and I do think like I was pretty sucked into this thing when it
Yeah.
was happening. I watched the movie last night, and I was into it. And again, I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
But I was pulled into it. Yeah, there's quite a bit of tension in this scene.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the exact same way. I've seen this movie, I don't know, 5, 6 times probably, maybe
Yeah.
more even. But yeah, even watching it again a few days ago, I was the exact same way. I was pulled in here, knew what was going to happen, but I just this is the first time I feel like this movie makes you feel something, and so I did enjoy it. However, we do get another cut here that kind of like you were mentioning earlier. I don't know if it bothered you here. Once she gets to this farmhouse, and she starts to get some help. Um, this old farmer comes out with his gun, and the Phantom ends up leaving. We get some more of that crazy ass music that doesn't
Mm,
fit. Did you notice
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
it's
they
like,
go right to that weird music every time. It's like this whimsical, like, almost like the kind of music you hear on, like, Benny Hill or something, and I'm like, "What are we doing?
yeah, I noticed it again there, and I know what they were thinking is they were thinking, okay, this is a happy moment, she's been saved, but the
Right.
score didn't fit. It's
No.
not good.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I more often than not, the score doesn't work in this
It
movie.
really
It's like
doesn't.
it does not match what's happening on the screen.
Yeah. As we start to wrap it up, we get to the end of the film. We do hear more of the narration about the town's continuing to panic. Windows are starting to get boarded up. Um, but we do get the scene then where that I was mentioning earlier, where Ramsey and Morales are driving, and they're talking and giving different ideas and really beginning to doubt that they're ever going to catch this guy when they get a
Mhm.
report about a stolen car that matches a car that Ramsey had previously seen when he almost caught the Phantom back in the beginning of the film. And so then they get on the chase. We get the sand pit search, where they're looking around there, and they end up seeing the Phantom. The chase that comes out. Um, Stop for just a second because this sand pit scene. This was the only time I really liked the character of Deputy Ramsey.
Mhm.
Um, Although I thought it was so stupid that he wasn't trying to hide very well.
No,
I mean,
no, he
he's
just
just
stood
out
up.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just stood up, like, in full view of everything. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
so
crazy.
that part I was like, "What the hell is he
Yeah.
doing?"
The
He seemed
funny
like a
thing to
pretty
me
good cop.
about this scene is why is the Phantom wearing the mask?
I know, yeah, because there's
Like, what
nothing out
is
there.
he what is he doing? I mean, it's fine, it's whatever. I mean, we see that, I recently watched, was it Halloween 5? And
Okay,
it always cracks me up. They have Michael in custody in a cell, and he's still wearing his mask. I'm
still
like,
got
I'm
his
pretty sure
mask
they
on,
don't
yeah.
wouldn't let you keep that.
I don't think so. That's a good point, yeah. But, yeah, I just remember thinking that when I was watching this the other day, I'm like, "Why is he standing up just walking around in plain sight like
Yeah,
this?" But I thought the same thing. I thought, "There's nothing out, it's not nighttime, it's not dark,
right.
there's nobody else out there, there's no cars parking and that kind of stuff. He's just out walking around in the sand in his mask, and it
Yeah,
makes no sense to
in
me."
his mask. If he hadn't been wearing his mask when they came up, he could have just talked to the cops and be like, "That's not me. I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, exactly. But, and then we get the train scene. The Phantom, is trying to run. He jumps in front of this moving train and gets past. The officers approach it, and they can't quite get to him. We kind of get a few like slow-mo shots here.
Mhm.
That I wanted your thoughts on is the Phantom's on one side of the train, Morales and Ramsey are on the other side, and they're trying to shoot at him underneath this train,
Yeah.
basically, or between cars. Kind of
Yeah.
silly, and we get the slow mo shots as well. I don't. I think so much of this movie is so well done and so well shot. This I thought was again kind of silly,
Mhm.
but not so much that it takes me out of the film. I just I'm like, are they really going to be shooting underneath the train? I
Well,
don't think
that
that
was
that
yeah,
was kind
that
of
to me
crazy.
I mean, like, I don't know anything about guns or what happens, but I just feel like that's a recipe for a ricochet right back into shoot yourself is what it feels like is gonna happen there.
I
Um,
agree. What
yeah,
slow mo shots they bother you, or you? But they were fine.
they're fine. It's I mean, yes, they stand out obviously, and they're not necessary, but I also think that is kind of a product of the time. Like, I feel like the '70s, I don't know if that was like a new thing or what, but you'll see it
Yeah,
but people love to use the slow-mo.
yeah.
And it's like it's fine. Like,
Okay.
it didn't really bother me that much. But yeah, they stand out, and I would rather them not be there, but they don't really kill the movie for me or anything.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Morales ends up actually shooting the Phantom, but then by the time the train passes and they get over there, the Phantom is gone, and so then we kind of get more of kind of a speech from the narrator on what happened. Did he die there in these swamps? Is he somewhere else? What's going on? And then of course the narrator also gives us updates on what all of the police officers did, that kind of thing. And we kind of cut with a movie theater that's premiering a movie, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and we again see the shoes that
Yeah.
maybe the Phantom is gone to see this movie. Your thoughts on the end, the finale here, the way it wrapped up?
I think that they handled it about as well as you could. Like, again, it's based on unsolved true crime. Um, so there's only so much you can do, right? Like, you're not going to be
Right.
able to reveal who the Phantom is because nobody knows. So, but I think presenting the different options of, some people say he's in prison in Kansas, which I don't know why they
Yeah.
picked Kansas or whatever, but or maybe he died in the swamp, or maybe he's going to the movies. Like, I think it's a fitting end for this kind of movie.
Yeah, I agree. And even, we talked about it, how this is based on a true story where a guy was never caught. So you kind of have to do this. But so many times movies take liberties where they do kind of, I mean, we've
Sure.
already taken some crazy liberties throughout this and done some weird things. So they could have done that with this too. I like the fact that they didn't. I really
Yeah.
like the ending of the film, the leaving it open like that, like we don't know what happened. Um, I didn't even mind the narration giving us, letting us know what all of the different officers are done. But yeah,
Right.
I feel like I enjoy the ending. I think it wraps up well. Um, I feel like I like this movie a little bit more each time I do watch it, honestly. So before we give it a rating, anything else you want to say about it, or something we may have not covered that you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think we hit everything that came to mind while I was watching the movie. No, I don't think so.
Okay. So I do a rating scale of 1 to 10. So Rob, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put The Town That Dreaded Sundown?
I give it a solid 8. Like,
Okay.
I really enjoy watching it. I think it is a fun movie. There are a few problems, obviously.
Sure.
That is going to keep it from being a 10 for me. But I still, yeah, I think it's a solid 8. It's a good time. I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's funny because that's exactly what I wrote down was an 8. I feel the exact same way, and I really didn't think that I would rate it quite that high. But
Hmm.
yeah, I really like this movie. I really enjoy it. It's got, like you said, a few problems here and there, but it's just nitpick stuff. It's not anything that causes me to not like the film. I really don't like the comedic aspect that's thrown in there, but I think the rest of it is good enough that it makes up for it,
Yeah.
and pulls you out of it. So I think, if you'd have taken that out, this might could have been to a 9. Without the comedy, this might be a 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. So yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going to rank this, and wasn't exactly sure where I was going to rank it. So we both came up with an 8. I think that's
That
pretty
might be
cool that we both like this one.
the first and last time we've ever agreed, but
It
that's
might
where
be,
we'll,
yeah,
yeah.
because we do that from time to time, but it's always funny, so that's okay. Um,
um, have you seen people call it a remake, but it's really more of a spiritual sequel of
yeah,
sorts. Have you seen that?
I've seen it once.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it's okay.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like it.
it
I think it was pretty good. It's not as good as I don't like it as much as I like this one, but I do think I think it's a fun movie. I really like the way they handled it too.
Okay. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we get through a few holidays or something here, and I'll have you come back and we can talk about that remake if you're
Sounds good.
interested.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
we'll
be
do
fun.
that.
Yeah.
This episode will come out actually on the 29th. So that's when this will air. So still a few days away. Tell everybody again about your slasher radio and what you do and anything that you know might be coming. I guess basically for October because this will be my last episode of September. So
Okay. Yeah, Slasher Radio is my podcast. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. We also have a YouTube channel. I don't have much to do with the YouTube channel. One of my co-hosts takes care of all that stuff. He in fact won't give me access to the YouTube channel because he's afraid I'll delete it because I'm not real computer savvy. Um uh but you can catch us wherever you find, podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, all those places, whatever pod catcher player you use. We've do coming up in October. We're going to be talking to Greg Nicotero. We've got Tyler Main. We'll be talking to him as well. And at this point, fingers crossed for some other guests that'll be popping up on the show towards the end of the month. But I believe we're going to kick off the month with Greg Nicotero, and
very
then
cool.
Tyler Main right after that, I think. And then you can also listen to the Nick F and Woo Cage Cast, where we talk about Nick Cage movies. We go through them in chronological order. That's also available wherever you can find podcasts.
Very good. Yeah, check those out. I'm looking forward to hearing those episodes. And I think, you were mentioning you don't have access to the YouTube channel. I feel like from listening to some of you guys' podcasts, there's a lot they don't give you access to.
There seems to be. Although, in all fairness to them, they claim they have given me access to these
That's
things.
what I hear. Yeah.
But YouTube, he will tell you flat out, no,
That's
I'm
not
not
happening.
allowed to have
Okay.
access to the YouTube.
Yeah, that cracks me up every time I'm listening to one of you guys' episodes and I hear you talking about you don't have access, and
Yeah.
immediately the other guy's like, "Yes, you do."
Yeah. Don't.
So,
I
yeah,
swear I do, but I do not.
yeah, it's correct. It's so funny to me. I enjoy it. So yeah, go check out the podcast, the YouTube channel. Even though Rob's not on the YouTube channel, check it out as well. Give a follow. It's good stuff. I really enjoy listening to it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then go ahead and do so. I don't know what you're waiting on. Hit the button. Leave me some comments. Hit the like. Let us know what you think about the Town Dreaded Sundown. If you've ever seen it, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Definitely worth it. Follow me on social media. Pretty much everything out there: Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X. Yeah, I'm on everything. So give me a follow on social media. Like, subscribe, comment. I have some good stuff coming up in October. It's all slashers. That's all I'm talking about. Later this
Nice.
week, I will be on with Isaiah from the Bitter Wolf later this week, talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I also have coming up. Um, Robbie and Kaylee from That Horror Couple are going to be on. We're going to be one episode talking about Halloween. We're also going to be talking about then in another episode the original Friday the 13th. Brendan and Sam from Our Life in Horror are going to come on 2 different episodes. We're going to be talking about Candyman and Scream, the original Scream. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Bo from Critic After Dark is going to come on and talk Hellraiser with me. Ken from Sledgehammer Horrors coming on. We're going to talk about the original Child's Play. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff coming up in October. So subscribe so you don't miss any of those episodes. Rob, thank you so much for coming on again. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Definitely get you back so we can talk about this the next movie, whatever you want to call it, remake,
Excellent.
sequel, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
people call it a remake, but it's much more of a sequel, I think.
Yeah, I agree as well. But yeah, we'll have you back as well. So again, thank you so much for coming on. I
No,
really
thanks
do
for having me.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
and
fun.
everybody, thank you all for watching. I will see you soon.